Okay, my name's Zakashi guys, and in this video here I'm going to be giving you guys the best teams and equipments that you can run on the new Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. I imagine everybody will be going for this unit, so if you do get this unit, even if you don't get this unit, and at the time I'm uploading this video it's prior to him releasing, you can prepare for this unit. He is absolutely insane, element purple. You guys have seen what he can do. He's absolutely untouchable. The animations are looking pristine, and I couldn't have asked for anything better if I'm being honest. Given I'm uploading this before, let me know how many Chrono Crystals you guys have got going into the Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta banner. I've got about 22,000 and I'm hoping that's enough for at least 2 copies. But regardless of how many Chrono Crystals you've got, you'll be stacking up so you can get this guy once, maybe twice, even going for the big 14 stars depending on how many you can get. But I'm doing too much talking right now. I just had to gas him up a bit. Let's get into the best teams and equipments. Alright, so the first team we're going to be going into here is Fusion Warriors. Fusion Warriors is the team I'm definitely going to be running him on, and it's the team that he's more likely to be run on because of his ultra ability. His ultra ability actually makes him fusions first, because even if he's on the leader slot or not, as long as you have 6 Fusion Warriors, he will still get the maximum out of his ultra ability. But here we've got Fusion Warrior team. Obviously I'm recording this beforehand, but he would be on the leader slot as a purple unit. So we've got purple Super Vegito Zenkai buffing him. You need to get that 7 stars to Zenkai buff him, but at 14 stars he's also a HP buff. Now, why HP is super important in this case is because G4 is going to be healing a lot. He gets a lot of health restore in general, so his health will always be going back up. And once he gets down to 50%, he'll be going type neutral for damage sustained. So on top of the fact that he'll be taking less damage because nobody can be type advantage over him, he'll also be healing back a lot. So that's super good to have HP on the team with him. I also have Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, who's also another HP buffer for the team. So you can see here, max base health for Fusion Warrior, 20%. But on top of that, he also Zenkai buffs Gogeta. Now, why Gogeta is very important for this Fusion Warrior team is because his Strike Assault actually goes past, so bypasses Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta's untouchability, is counter. So it's super good, if that's even the word, untouchability. But then yeah, cool, we got Vegito there obviously for his Rising Rush. He's just going to be able to Rising Rush, and no joke, he can just Rising Rush Gogeta and Gogeta can't do anything about it besides maybe switch out. So this is the most ideal team. Namek-Q to Zenkai buff Super Saiyan Goku. I mean Super Vegito, sorry. Super Saiyan Goku, so Namek-Q to Zenkai buffs Super Vegito. Now I do understand that this team here, it doesn't have any protection, so if you get rushed or you get one shot or you're in a position of getting type advantage damage against you, you probably will get melted, so be wary of that, which is why I'm going to show you some substitute options if you do want to protect yourself running Fusion Warriors. So first I'm going to go to the character list. I'm going to change the filter, put on the Fusion Warrior tag, and then you want to have Sparking and Ultra on. So I should have all of them. Going into blues, Vegito is going to be your number 1 option, and you kind of have to run him. You don't have a choice. There's no substitute option. Going into green, Pikkon is a good option, but the issue with him is he's green while Ultimate Gohan and Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta are in the game right now. On top of the fact that if Gogeta takes this guy out using, I believe it's a blue card or an ultimate, something like that, one of those, he will cause the person to revive with 70% less health, which is crazy. So it's basically just putting them back down to 0, and Super Gogeta is not going to heal that much. It's only the revival that fills up the bar. But if you don't want to run them, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is the other option. Not that I think he's a good option, but he is an option available. Going into the purples, I've already showed you Super Vegito being a good bench option as a Zenkai buffer, and he's a HP buffer. But if you didn't want to run him, you could run UGB, because there is a new equipment that's coming out for G4, Ultra G4, but it also works for UGB, and if it's going to be good, this guy might be able to use it somehow. So you might want to run double purple if you're not afraid of the yellows. G4 won't have to worry about yellows because I already told you he goes damage sustained after 50% health goes down. Going into yellows, of course, we're going to be running Gogeta. If it's not Gogeta, you might just have to forget about it. If using Gogeta is just the best choice. Gotenks could be a second choice for endurance factors, but besides from that, I don't think they're the best option in general. And then for red, CMZ is a good option. I might show you a build right now. CMZ is a good option. You could also run UVB, Omega Shenron, Super 17. You got quite a few reds, I'm not gonna lie, but it depends on how you want to build it. So if you wanted to build CMZ on the team, you'd probably have to take off Vegito so that the God Key can take place for the rest of the team. Then you'd also have to switch up the bench. So you can keep this guy on, and you can keep this guy on, because I believe this guy here is he's buffing Fusion Warrior, right? So that's good. So this guy here, CMZ, he's actually a Fusion Warrior, even though it doesn't look it. he's getting the Z abilities from these two, but he's not giving the Z abilities outwards, but he's getting a Z ability from these guys as well, I believe. I'll actually fact check that in case you are doubting me. So you can see here Goku and Vegeta, you're getting the Fusion Warrior Z ability, which is pretty nice, and his Z ability is God Key, so Gogeta is getting that because he's Gogeta Blue. Then you'd want to get a Zenkai buff for him. You could go Red Super Gogeta, you could go, what's his name? Damn, I'm missing out. Vegito, base Vegito. I froze, my brain froze for a second. Or you could even go further and get a third HP buff, which I think is super overkill. So if you actually add on the God Key filter, you can go for God Goku, because he's going to be giving the Z ability to these two. He also gives out critical, which is good. And I think Rose is also a good option. I'm just going to check his Zenkai buff. Yeah, for powerful opponent, but the Z ability is God Key. So the bench has a lot more variety if you want to Zenkai buff him, but that's just another option to show you that there is possibilities as well that you could run to make it work, and it's still Fusion Warriors. So that's going to be Fusion Warriors for the first team of this video. Very good team in my opinion, can work super well, different ways of you building it. Just be wary that you won't be having a lot of protection because there's no endurance units. It's really just Pycon for the revival and Gold Tanks for the endurance. It's quite sad to be honest, but hey, it's something that you can get. But yeah, that's the first team, Fusion Warriors. Next up here, we got GT Grand Tour. It's looking pretty good now for the boys. Now, you can see I've already got the bench options available, and the third option on the team who's going to be Bomku, USB Goku. But the other two characters I do not have. Those two are going to be Super Gauge 2, Gauge Araga, Super Baby 2. Most difficult unit to overcome in my opinion. And then, of course, Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. So on the leader slot, you want to put Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta so he can get his max Ultra ability. He won't be able to get that if he's on the bench because there's not Fusion Warriors being run. So just bear that in mind, because his Ultra ability is for Fusions, not GT. Cool. Super Baby 2 is going to be your other option. This Sin Shenron's going to Zenkai. Get him to Zenkai 7, then you'll be able to run the team, which is obviously good. Sin Shenron on the team. Super Saiyan 4 Goku, he's going to be Zenkai buffing G4. Let me actually fact check that actually, because I feel like his Zenkai buff, cool. I just didn't want it to be Sun Family. So he's Zenkai buffing G4. Then you've got this guy here as a HP buffer. I've told you in the Fusion Warrior section how much healing this guy's going to have. He's super effective when it comes to healing. General gradual health, he's going to be healing through different parts of his kit. And on top of that, his gauge also allows him to do things like that as well. So he's going to need a lot of health. And he's going to be type neutral against damage sustain, so that's super good. And that's pretty much it. Super Baby 2 is going to be the second spot, and then the first slot is going to be Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. But look at the other options that you can run on the team. So I'm going to go to character list, going to go to filter, change it from this to GT. There it is. Press OK 2 times, and let's look at what options we've got. So the blue, you got to be running this Goku. If you're not running this Goku, you're going to be struggling if you want to run a blue. For green, I think it might be okay to run this guy here, but it's not the best choice. Tag 4s are also not the best choice. I just think green right now is super risky. It's so vulnerable. I would just avoid it completely. For purple, obviously I've got this guy for a Zenkai buff, but you could run Bulla, very good support unit, and Android 17. I wouldn't recommend, even though he's a support type, but he can actually heal a lot as well. He is able to take a few hits as well and can put you in a situation to take somebody out. Now in the yellow section, we've obviously got Super Baby 2. Super Baby 2 is going to be your main man, but if you don't want to run him, if you have this guy 14 stars with the Sin Shenron Zenkai buff, he might actually be effective in supporting the team. He also has 2 saves, which is good in comparison to Super Gauge 2's gauge filling out to break the combos. So this guy can save you, like swoop in and cover anything as long as there's no cover now, so that's also good. And he's a very good last stand unit that can one shot, but I say pretty much 14 stars or nothing. 14 stars or nothing. Going into the reds, Omega Shenron is actually a valid choice. You might not think so, but that plat has made this guy usable, and he's got endurance, which is a big help for the team. He's going to be that layer of protection that can actually be used. So yeah, Omega Shenron there. I should also mention, I believe the yellow Sin Shenron, I believe he has endurance. Let me actually fact check that. Yeah, applies the following effects to self when own health reaches 0. He restores health by 25%. They just written it a bit differently. So if his Zenkai is actually good, this is me speaking from the past for the future people, actually use him. But he's mainly just there as a Zenkai buff because I don't think he's going to be good. I actually worry. But yeah, Super 17 is also an option, but you have to remember that G4 is going to be melee based. You don't want the team to be range type, but Super 17 is so oppressive that he can work. Then of course you've got the bench options, so I already showed you the Kid Goku for the HP buffer. There's no other extremes that you need to worry about. We've got Sin Shenron's going to be a bench, Super Saiyan 4 Goku is going to be a bench. You can run Namek Goku for this guy. Super Baby 2 is a Saiyan, so you don't have to worry about that. G4's already got his one here. This guy can Zenkai buff yellow Son family members, but I don't think there's any that you would use. I'm just putting that out there. The red one's down here for Super 17, for example, and I think that's pretty much it. Blue Pan maybe for Bomb Q, or you can use Namek Goku. But yeah, that's going to be GT. I think GT is actually a very good team now. Not that it wasn't before, but it's even better with G4 being the most oppressive unit, one of them, if not the most, in the game. So yeah, that's number 2 for this video, GT. Now the number 3 team I've got here, it might look familiar, it might not, but the reason it will probably look familiar is because it looks exactly like Fusion Warriors. This is Saiyans here, but because the Saiyan members are also Fusion Warriors, it basically makes it Fusion Warriors, and you just make the bench accordingly to how you need to support the main playing actors. So like I showed you before in the Fusion Warrior team, G4 is going to be leader. We've got Vegito, we've got Gogeta, then we've got a Zenkai buff for 1 each of them, and a double HP buff with SV at 14 stars. He gets a HP buff, and Super Saiyan 3 Gold Tanks. It's not the only way you can run this team. There's other ways you can run this team, and I'm going to show you that, but I'm not going to go into detail because I already explained this team in the first segment. I'm going to build more of a Saiyan team now, traditional Saiyan team. So we go into the character list here. Same thing, we're going to change the filter, change, take off GT, press Saiyans on. We're going to look at every element, and you're going to see there's a lot now. So looking into the blues, you can run Bomb Q here, who is also a GT unit, and then you could also run Bardock and Goku, so you can get blue and the green, which could be effective. Outside of that, am I seeing anybody that's worthy to mention besides from Vegito, who we already spoke about? Not really. We already spoke about how Namek Goku is a Zenkai buff, but you could also use Super Saiyan Bardock, even though I wouldn't recommend him because his Z ability is only for Super Saiyans, so just bear that in mind. But his Zenkai ability is for Saiyans if you're trying to use a blue. This guy could also be a Zenkai buff if you wanted to use him to Zenkai buff Vegito, fusing Vegito, because he's Zenkai buffs Vegeta clan, and you can see the Z ability is for Saiyans, so everybody eats off that anyways. Let's get our blue though. Let's go into green. Let me just check if there's anybody I'm missing. God Goku, would have almost missed him, no joke. Let me check his Z abilities actually. I don't think does he buff Saiyans? He buffs Son family, so if you're running a trio Son family, he could be that endurance unit that helps you out. But again, running a green is so risky. He's practically dead, I'm not gonna lie. I'm even looking at the greens now, I'm just thinking, no man. Pycon is there, but it's just a no. Rev Sign is just a no. G4 is just a no, man. I'd say just avoid greens, because right now with UG4 in the game and Ultimate Gohan, it's just too technical for you guys to be safe running greens. Going into purple, we already got UG4, so you're not going to need another purple. But if there's anybody I might want to recommend, not really. Nappa Vegeta could be an option if you want that revival layer, but then you'd have to maybe fix the bench at the team accordingly around Nappa and Vegeta, so just bear that in mind. Cool. Anybody else? Maybe I already mentioned UGB for Fusion Warriors. Wouldn't put him on the same team, and maybe go Frieza if you have him 14 stars, but that's really forcing it in my opinion. Going into yellows, Gogeta Blue is going to be your main man. Looking at other options, Ultra UI maybe, but he's range type, whereas UG4 is going to be melee type, so bear that in mind. Same thing with Trunks and Vegeta, but I don't even think they're good at all. Bardock's a good Zenkai buff here. Got quite a few Zenkai buff depending on what you're trying to use. For example, Super Saiyan 4 Goku as a Zenkai buff. Besides from that, the yellows are pretty much dead. Besides from Super Baby 2, who I don't have, but I mentioned him in GT already. But he's also a Saiyan, so bear that in mind depending on how you're building your team. Then going into the reds, am I seeing anybody of status? Not really. Maybe you might want to force this guy on your team. He can do some surprising damage if you get him in the right scenario, and his dark type can obviously be useful, but I'm not putting him out there as someone that's super insane. Besides from that, I wouldn't really... Red's not looking too secure, I'm not gonna lie, it's looking kind of ass. So yeah, I've given you guys the options. Obviously there's Zenkai buffs for each of them, but ideally if you're gonna run Saiyans, you might as well run Fusion Warriors the way the team is looking. They're so identical, there's no point of even straying unless you specifically want to use someone like God Goku, which I wouldn't be against, but with all these purple, it's not safe, man. I'm against it. I'm not gonna lie, I said I'm not against it, but I'm against it, man. God Goku, you gotta be careful with that guy. So yeah, that's Saiyans. Of course, you could also just leader slot him on a lot of teams and build accordingly, but we're talking about actual teams here, which is why I've got these three. Third team for the video, Saiyans. The first equip here we're going to be looking at is Awakened You've Gone Too Far. This you get 10% special move, key recovery, strike defense, and a lot of strike attack, which is actually what you want, because I think at even one point, if his counter activates, he gets like 70% for his next strike cards, which is insane. So this is quite a good equip. You can get this awakening memory, so from the Zen Character Space and Rush Shop. You're going to need the unawakened version, which is right here. You can see here, You've Gone Too Far. The unawakened version is absolutely trash. You're going to need the awakened version, and you can get this from the equipment medal exchange shop. Very valuable to know. This equipment here might be a sleeper, but if you've got it already, it could be useful. The health restoration is going to be super important with this guy. He doesn't have any endurance or revival or anything like that, but he heals a bunch. And he goes type neutral against damage sustained. So with the healing that he has in his kit, he'll be healing gradually just for entering the battlefield, and any percentages that he gets from things other in his kit, he'll be able to capitalize off that because of this extra 10%, but you also get strike attack and double defense, which is good. You can get this from the Ultimate Equipment Collection. This is an old pure, and I believe they're releasing a new one with the new 3 equipments that they showed in the reveals and stuff. But if you already have this is something that you can use based on if you're using free GT members. You don't even need the 3, actually. I misread that. You just need 1. So GT and Fusion Warrior, which is him. And then you can see strike attack if it's a battle member other than GT. So if you're running GT, this is the one for you. Cool. You can see here, the conditions only GT. You can get it from the dual coin shop. It's Ultra Bonanza, so you should be fine. But I'm not advising you go for this one specifically, because the new 3, one of them could also give you pure stats for GT or Fusion Warrior, which could also be good. Whereas this is an older one, and you might get better stats out of that one. So look at that one and also bear it in mind, because we haven't seen it yet at the time of making this video. But I want to emphasize that this one is also good if you already have it, which I do. But you can just get it from the dual coin shop in case this one is better, just in case. Of course, if you're running him on a Fusion Warrior, you're still gonna need to get some of the pure, but this isn't the only one you can run. I just think this is a good one if you don't have the other ones, which is why I'm mentioning it. The critical on the first slot is really a letdown, but of course the pure strike and blast, if you're running 3 Fusion Warriors, is super effective. You can get this from the dual coin exchange shop, but watch for the other ones I mentioned in this video, because I mentioned equipments for different reasons. So this is only if you are running 3 Fusion Warriors, but it depends on the 3 you're running. For example, if you're running Pycon, I wouldn't recommend this one. If you're running Vegito and Gogeta, I wouldn't recommend this one, as in the Gogeta Blue and the Super Vegito. But yeah, dual coin shop for this one. Now, this is the equipment I would recommend if you're running Pycon, or in another scenario, both Gogeta and Vegito. Very carefully pay attention to the terminology I'm using. So either Pycon is on the team, or you're running Gogeta, Blue, and Super Vegito, because this is based on there being a Sagas from the movies Otherworld Warrior. Now Vegito, I believe, is the Otherworld Warrior, and Gogeta is Sagas from the movies, so those 2 conditions are met for you to get the stats from this equipment. You also get HP, which is way better than the critical, and it's for Fusion Warriors, which it works for G4. So in this case, you'll be able to get it from the dual coin exchange drop, similar to the last equipment, but it depends on who you're using. So if you was using someone like CMZ, you won't have both Vegito and Gogeta. Unless you had Pycon, then that's the case where you'd be able to apply this equipment as well. Do you follow how I'm saying how this equipment is a lot better for those reasons? This is another pure for a very specific scenario. If you're running Bardock and Goku on Saiyans, you can get 12% special move damage, which is super effective for Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, sorry. You just get the same pure stats that you get from most equipments. You also get defenses, but the special move is sometimes more useful than the HP depending on what type of build you're going for. I think this is just super good equipment for Saiyans in general, and you can get it from the dual coin exchange shop. This equipment here is actually amazing, because I've been talking about health restoration pretty much this whole video, but also the special move damage, which is what you want, because the special move is super effective with bringing in the vanish recovery, but it also builds up a lot of damage because it destroys the cards. You also get strike attack, which is exactly what you need. This one here, this is Fusion. You can get this from the special event, Get Up Before It Goes. It's the 6th anniversary event with Vegito and Gogeta. Go for the highest one, so chapter 5, so you can get higher rates of drops. Not higher rates, it's more like the amount you get per run, you know, energy usage. This one's another one that's pretty good. Awaken, however you want to pronounce it. You get base strike defense, but I only really like it because you get up to 15%. I don't think any other equipment does this. 15% special move, which is insane. You also get strike attack, which is what you want, but you have to kind of shuffle it for the other stats, so you need to get lucky a little bit. But I've got one of these. I love this equipment. It's super good, but tedious to grind. If you want to get the unawakened version, which is what you're going to need, so if I go to my archive, then what you're going to want to do is change it to Fusion Warrior. Over here, you'll see it's over there, right there on the right. The unawakened version is trash, don't run it. How to get the equipment medal exchange shop. This is probably the best equipment that you're gonna need. Like, it's the best equipment I've probably shown you in this video for Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Just look at it. Strike attack, special move, 12.5 as well, which is insane. More strike attack, ultimate damage, 13%, which is insane. And just to top it off, you get extra HP. This is like the most optimal equipment. It's for Super Saiyan 4 and melee types. You must get this one. I advise this one over almost every equipment I've put. This one's a priority. You get the memory from Zenkai Ultra Space Time Rush. You're going to need the unawakened version, which is here. It's nowhere near as good. Don't run the unawakened version in my opinion, but you can get it from the equipment medal exchange shop. You're definitely going to want to have a couple of these. And the last thing I want to show you before we end off the video here, we have these 3 new equipments that are going to be coming out. This one here, equipment conditions Saiyans or Tag Fusion Warriors or GT. It's probably going to be really good. This one here in the ultimate equipment collection is also going to be really good. You can see here Fusion Warrior element purple. It's probably going to be exactly what G4 needs. And this one here you'll be able to get from PvP. It's probably going to be pretty good for him, but I'm sure these 2 will be better, and there's already some that are good in the game that are better, but of course it depends on what you have and what you can get. But I'm showing you these because they're not in the game at the moment. I don't know what they do, but when they release these equipments in the reveals and stuff, they always release them with the intent of knowing, yeah, this is exactly what this unit is going to need. But yeah man, that's going to be the end of the video. As you can see, I did my best to give you guys the best teams and equipment, showing you different formations in case you don't have the exact pieces I have. Even as you saw in the video, I don't have all the pieces. I don't have Super Baby 2. That's going to be a big thing for me running GT. I'm gonna have to try get him later down the line. Low-key regret not getting him, but at the same time, if I did, it put me in a hole for other units, so I'm not too mad at it. But he's very good, and hopefully he reruns on the banner. For G4, we don't know who's on the banner yet, but if he is on the banner, that could change GT drastically if you are considering running GT. But yeah, do your best with what you have. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, man. If you haven't already, make sure to press that subscribe button. We're on this grind to 100,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching the video, man. My name is Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.